You mentioned that it's important to listen to experts and not make assumptions. Can you share an instance where this helped your career?
If you assume things, most of the time it will be wrong. To this day, I always try to leverage our experts. They know a lot.
You mentioned that tech isn't scary, it just requires commitment. How is that and why do you feel that way?
In 2, 3, 4 years later, the industry will completely different. The challenge that I face, some of the people, they are not willing to learn.
Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Power Talks. My name is Griffin, the host of the Citizen Developer channel. And today I am joined by special guest Rafsan Huseynov. And Rafsan, I wanted to ask you, you have quite a different experience than me when it comes to just where we are and what we do. And you mentioned that it's important to listen to experts and not make assumptions. And so I wanted to ask you, can you share an instance in particular where this helped your career?
Hi, Griffin. Thanks for the invitation. I'm glad to be here, and it's just a pleasure. So I'll just give you an example which I actually made this mistake in my early career, and I wasn't even in IT by that time. It happened like 2013. I was very fresh in IT project management, and we were doing like ERP transformation. And part of that, I had a side project that I was running where ordering CNC machine for furniture manufacturing. So I just got that project, and the expert that we had, which is CNC expert, which have been working with the vendor for a long time. So the company got really big order and they had to deliver it. And I talked to vendor, they said, yes, we will deliver this time and you can expect us. And our expert told me many times, you can't trust them.
Okay.
They will let you down and we will have major issue. I said, no, he promised me, and we have like even bonus that we can, if it's delivered early, we can give him like some performance bonus. And that's how it happened. They didn't deliver on time. And it was really big mistake for organization. They lost a couple of customers. They also had very negative reviews. And for a person in his early careers, as you can imagine, it had really big damage. And that's one of the advice that he gave me, saying, always listen to the experts. The experts, what I mean, the person who is doing the actual work, who's been in the industry for a couple of years and delivered things like this. So just listen to them and just leverage their expertise. And to this day, I always try to leverage our experts, expertise that applies to our architects, that applies to our senior managers, because, I work with people, sometimes they're with company like more than 30 years. They know a lot. So always, you need to work with them and just don't assume. If you assume things, most of the time it will be wrong. So that's why always ask. And because when you ask, you actually get the facts. And based on the facts, you can make now well-informed decisions.
Sure. So I feel like I can relate to that as well, where a lot of times I feel like I know something, or I do. I know something. And I'm like, okay, no, this is the answer. But there's like some hidden thing that I don't know, or something that I didn't account for, or I don't know all the ways that this could go wrong, but the expert does, right? And
Exactly.
so I completely agree. And you also we're talking about things going wrong. You mentioned that, that sounds scary, but you mentioned that tech isn't scary, it just requires commitment. I kind of wanted to ask you, in light of what we're talking about, how is that and why do you feel that way?
Exactly. Tech is inevitable. Doesn't matter which sector you are. You can be in sales, you can be in marketing. If you don't leverage technology, you are basically wasting your time. You are wasting organizations. I'm in more organizational level, so cost is a big thing for me. So if you are also wasting the organization time, so that's why you need to learn the technology. I'm not saying that you can just go ahead and learn programming. That could be very boring, and I don't know you would like it. But at least if you are, let's say, in marketing, then learn technology related to marketing. If you are in project management, for example, I have extensive experience in project management, then you need to learn some technology when it comes to using robust project management softwares like Azure Boards, Jira. Or when it comes to design, then you need to learn Mirror. If you are architecting a lot of solutions, there are a lot of tools, for example, Visio. So you need to learn this. On top of that, you need to learn collaboration tools, how you can communicate with people in teams, how you can use different collaboration tools such as Microsoft Loop to make the work more efficient. So that's where I see like most of people, even nowadays, when I work with people and they're like, oh, I'm not technical. I'm like, I don't talk about tech right now, literally. This is just simple steps. This is how you're going to do it. But even that, every field I add, I provide description. Every button I add, I provide description so that users can understand. And from my end, it's good because I provide better user experience, but at the same time, sometimes it's I would say it doesn't make sense because it should be like clear, crystal clear that, we are in 21st century. We are living in AI era now. So, and you are just asking me like basic things like, what does open source mean? So I'm always happy to help, but the challenge that I face sometimes some of the people, they are not willing to learn. So that's really challenging. These people just putting their career in jeopardy because in 2, 3, 4 years later, the industry will be completely different.
Sure. So how do you instill this mindset in the teams and the individuals who you work with or you may manage or the people on a project that you're managing? I mean, how do you how do you instill that value in other people when you carry that?
So I would say, the big part of technology, like especially like helping others, is not just tech, it's like proper change management. What's in it for me? So they need to know. And so far, like when most of the people I noticed, then they talk about tech, it's very broad. So when you tailor that to person, whether it's in procurement, whether it's in like IT or client services. So you need to provide specific use cases, and then they can, I have actually this use case. This is a wrong way that I've been doing this. So this is perfect. And then when you provide that, then don't impose them. Include them in the decision making. Like, hey, that's how I can see. Like in one project, I started using Microsoft Loop, and people like in the beginning, yeah, we prefer Word or PowerPoint. I'm like, trust me, let's try this. If you don't like it, I'm sure we will choose something else. And they liked it because when you show that what you can do with the modern technology, people like, yeah, this is cool. But when you impose it, you get the resistance. So just be careful there. Don't impose, instead include them in the decision making so that you can collaborate with them.
Yeah. I think you're really onto something because I had experience on a previous project where the client had their system was good in a lot of ways, but it wasn't good in a lot of ways as well. And we were trying to, implement something that was definitely a better practice as far as like how their data was structured. And it was kind of like the architect delivered in a way of like, hey, this is what we're doing. No ifs, ands, or buts, take it or leave it. This is what we're doing. And not only did it kind of strain the relationship, but it also every 2 months we're getting the same questions. Hey, why is this like this? Why doesn't this work anymore how it used to? And it's like, well, because we discussed we're not doing that, But I think just there was a miss in like making it feel like it was a decision that we made together, even
Yes.
if they didn't even know they were making the decision, or that there may not have been an actual option, that like,
Yep.
even though the reality was, hey, we're doing this, but just the way it was like communicated and gone about
Exactly.
it, it felt like, you know we were like, the system was being imposed on them. And
Exactly.
I think that's probably bigger. I could apply that to my marriage, but I feel like that's bigger. That's bigger than consulting my career. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, like we do a lot of software development, most of them like around SaaS. It doesn't start with building something. Even it doesn't start with solutioning. It starts with the change management, why we are doing that, and who are the impacted teams. You might have one table and 5, 6 teams have been using it, and you suddenly delete it and you don't know who uses it. You are in a problem. And it's not like small companies. With large companies, like there are organizations or different departments that they are managing $1 billion revenue. So you need to be very careful with change management and identifying impacted teams, meeting them, how you are using this. We will have change coming. This is what the change. Now, let us know how we can make this change as smooth as possible for you. Can you give us a key person that will represent you in our project? So this is like big part of change, because if you release something that people are not aware of it, or it doesn't work for them, then people are not going to use it. It's gonna be like dead project, dead software. A year or later, you will have a new project to replace it.
Sure. That's awesome. I wanted to transition the conversation a little bit and talk about something that's in your intro. You called it the Power Platform University Hub. Excuse my ignorance. I wasn't familiar with this before the conversation, but this has trained over 50,000 students. Can you just talk about kind of what this is and what even the goals were of this program?
Yeah. So I was a business analyst with one of the large financial companies, and I got this really great job offer at Project Management Institute. Hey, we have a big program with Microsoft. So basically, this is a collaborative program, global program. Microsoft provide Power Platform, and PMI provides citizen development trainings. And it's in program we have like integrated learning platform where we can give access to universities to teach them to their students. It's self-learned, but there are also some instructor-led trainings as well. And I loved it because, I like teaching stuff, because when you start teaching, that's how you learn actually. So I got the job and I started working on that. Most of the time I worked heavily with Microsoft. Again, I wasn't working for Microsoft, I was working for PMI or Project Management Institute, but my day-to-day interaction was mainly with Microsoft. So I was responsible for success of the program globally, and I saw that no, that's not enough. I need to, real upskill myself in Power Platform, and then go to these universities, help these faculty members, because they have no idea about this tool. This is a relatively new tool, and the academics are really little bit behind, I would say, tech, because they need to be careful with security, data privacy, etc. That makes actually sense. So I ran a couple of pilots with different universities, very large universities. I don't want to name them, but it went really well. So I created the operating model. That's actually how it works. Even if you work in the programs, you typically create the operating model first, and then you start executing the work. So I created different communities for universities. We had like student ambassadors, we have faculty members that, I instructed them how to use this tool. And then a couple of the universities, they even integrated Power Platform into their curriculum. So imagine these students learning something that more employable. Like imagine you are graduating university with your diploma plus PL100 certification and the program graduation certification.
Yeah. One quick thing on that. So I was an accounting major, so I and an entrepreneurship major, and so I was not in any sort of field that was related to this. But one thing that I remember about some of my accounting curriculum, and I went to, it was an accredited business school, whatever, but we had like a class where a lot of it was dedicated towards like Power BI reporting, and so it was by no means like a Power Platform experience, but it did like give me some experience into just generally, how to navigate around Power BI and how it kind of works and clicking on different things. And so I can definitely imagine how, like if I were to have a Power Platform course in university where, we had 4 chapters, and we talked about Power BI, one chapter we talked about Power Apps, one chapter and just introduce this and got you PL 100 certified. Like how different that would change like the low code space.
Exactly.
I kind of, I don't know if you had anything else to add there before I interjected on the
No,
university
no, I
level.
think like sometimes you don't have to learn everything. Just as you mentioned, you are in different sector and you see something, oh, okay, this is cool. Even like quick introduction leads like different, career paths because you got this idea, you did some research, and you're like, oh, that sounds very, you know, cool for me.
Yeah.
So that's how you follow. And so in that operating model that I built, I later like, okay, these students graduating, they got this everything, and there is a big market. And low code, no code, it's a big market now. It's $1 billion of market. And Microsoft is not only there. There are over 470 low code, no code vendors out there. Some of them are big. Some of them are very. It's more like no code, like Google App Sheet. What can I help these students? And I try to connect them with the different recruiting organizations because these organizations work with different big companies so that they can hire the interns from universities. And we had really a couple of good use cases and successes there. And then they come up with the idea. I think if we can have hackathons, if these students can build something that they can show to others that, hey, this is what I built, that would even make more sense. So we did this with one of the universities in Brazil, and a couple of them, they got the internship, and that was probably one of my, that made me so happy, because that's the end goal. For me, it wasn't the goal like, let's have this program and people learn this. No, the end goal is getting a job. So, but again, like it wasn't easy process because you have to first, work with university, hey, why you need to enroll in this program. And the
Yeah.
second, you need to work with the person, teacher, professor who actually teaches the curriculum to the students, because you need to help them to identify areas that they can incorporate this to their curriculum. Then you now need to convince students that why you need to learn these tools. And there I basically did a lot of research, and nowadays even if you go to LinkedIn, if you look at a lot of job descriptions, it's mainly tool. Power BI, whether it's required or it's a good tool to use. Now you see more Power Apps. Now you see like a lot of cool AI tools like Copilot for M365, etc. So, and we started small. By the end of the time, like I saw like we have like around 500 universities globally. Like I used to like wake up at 5 a.m. and have a call with Singapore or university in India or university in New Zealand or in Africa, like one call with multiple universities, run hackathons. And that was fascinating. I would say that's one of my happiest time because I was helping others. And then suddenly something happened. One of the universities in Washington, D.C. reached out to me saying that we offer you adjunct professor. Can you teach Power Apps to our students? I'm like, of course I can. So I also did that. Yeah. So it's a rewarding career. I'm telling you, Power Platform is a very rewarding career.
Hey, if you are finding this video impactful or insightful, be sure to like and subscribe. But more importantly, if you are wanting to learn more about the Microsoft Power Platform, then you are going to want to check out the completely free self-paced course that has all of the hand-picked content directly from me as the first link down in the description down below. This is going to teach you everything you need to know about the Power Platform to get started and pass your first few Microsoft certifications. I can honestly say that as a Power Platform consultant myself that I love what I do, and I don't think many people in today's day and age can say that. If you are wanting to learn more, as I mentioned, be sure to check out the first link in the description down below to get in direct contact and connect with me. All right, let's get back to the conversation. There's been a couple, I feel like recently that are really sharing just the more heartfelt side of, the industry and just the impact that it can have on people. And I think that, even for myself, so, like I said, went to business college and I had heard of what a CRM software was, but I couldn't name you a single one. I just knew generally what CRM was. And then in my interview, I had a fortunate situation, but I'm like Googling what Microsoft Dynamics is and in preparation for my interview, what the Power Platform is, like trying to figure this stuff out because I had never heard of it. And it
I
makes
think all
me,
of us did that, Griffin, and to be honest, I did the same, like when I started using Power Automate first time, I think like long time ago, I think it was 2019 or something. So I think,
yeah. Yeah. And I just remember thinking like it's almost that the skills I had learned were so broad and so general that it didn't actually like equate to a career. You know what I mean? Like, but if it was just, and maybe that was just because I was an entrepreneurship major, and in my last semester of studying accounting, I realized I didn't want to be an accountant. So I guess sure, when I was thinking I wanted to be an accountant, I guess I was learning how to be an accountant, but I don't know. It does make me think like what kind of the opportunities that could be there for even just small little cohorts or clubs of it doesn't have to be anything super crazy like 50,000 people across the globe, but but just little cohorts of understanding and learning what this stuff is and
yeah,
everything. So
yeah, I agree.
super cool, super cool. I kind of looking ahead now, like, and I guess this is even kind of what we've been talking about, just like trends in developing the next generation. But like, what trends or technologies in the Power Platform and enterprise architecture are you kind of most excited about? And maybe AI is the this easy answer here, cop out answer. But like, what kind of trends and things are you super excited for?
I would say like, as you said, but AI, but what exactly, right? Like it's not just general AI, right? So like yesterday, it's a Microsoft Ignite week. They already announced a couple of cool stuff. So far, like we've been using AI. Hey, summarize this, do this, do this. Yeah, it's been in Power Apps, Power Automate for a while, but come on, it doesn't do that much
No,
work, right?
no.
So I think more AI in a capability that can do like organizational level work, not like individual. I think that's where am very close to following and doing some practical work regarding the agents. I think it's very powerful. You can do a lot, but my other consideration here is if everyone builds their own agents, who is going to take care of all those agents? I know, like how's the compliance? How's the, yes, you can manage it in Copilot Studio, but the idea of everyone can build their own agents, not one, but 5, 10, that's actually scary. I'm not happy with that. You know, that makes that gives a lot of work to IT to follow up. Like in Power Platform, you typically have catalogs there, you have application there, and you notice that people don't use it, and you reach out to them. Are you using this? If not, we gotta just retire this because that costs money. So now imagine that with hundreds of agents. So that's I think my biggest concern. But on the other hand, I personally use Copilot for M365. That's so valuable. But it's not there as a shiny tool for me. I genuinely use it. And I've seen some people, they don't use it and their license taken away. So I think for architecture, it will help to create the ERD diagrams we can see, and it does really great job. And conceptual design, I also saw like Plan Designer can do that as well. So these are very important steps and enhancements. So these will certainly save architects a lot of time and streamline the process. But the second part, how AI can build specific applications. Right now in Power Apps, whatever you want, like you give the prompt, it builds the same thing, like it's the same standard application. So it's the same UI, it's same UX. So it's kind of, I'm not really impressed with that. This has been almost a year. So, but I think they will improve it. On the other hand, I see like other tools like SAP LeanIX. That's one of my actually main tools that I use, in fact, because we are managing enterprise application portfolio management using that tool. And a lot of GenAI capabilities are coming so that you can manage your portfolio using AI connected to your backend data, which is a Snowflake relational database. So there are really good progress, but at the same time, still we need to consider like security, accesses, and first we need to make our data ready for AI. I don't think most of organizations' data is ready for the AI.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I've had a previous conversation as well that AI, especially if you're using it to reference your data, it is not something you can just slap on top of it and be like, yeah,
Exactly.
we got a good CRM
Yeah.
system now.
Yeah.
It's more of like it exposes what's going on, and so I completely agree. I as well will. I don't. You're not alone. I will echo what you're saying as far as Copilot for like the Power Platform. Um, I I don't really I okay, I can't say I don't really use it. I don't use it at all because I don't think it's really that great, but I think it has like the potential to be really interesting, at least to get some of the like legwork out of the way, to
Yeah.
get you from 0 to 1
Yeah.
faster. Which I think is nice. And then I've been spending a lot of time in Microsoft Copilot Studio. I was recently on a couple projects where we had built some cool copilots, custom copilots, and or custom agents, excuse me. Um,
Agent.
and and that was a really cool opportunity, but also Copilot Studio is not perfect either, in a lot of ways. And go check out some recent videos if you want to know why. But
I checked them. You
but
shared really great insights.
yeah, well, thank you. It's been like I heard someone say the analogy today. It's like where Microsoft is the rocket ship is flying and we are building the rocket ship at the same time. Like so, it's you kind of have to take it just with how it is. I feel like, in that it's not perfect, but it is really cool. I think that there can be some really interesting, positive use cases for it. Like, I think one specifically, if you have, listen up, if you not you, the viewer, if you have like a user that is utilizing multiple systems, like you have they deal with cases and customer service D365, and then they got to hop over to Oracle for your ERP, and then they got to hop over to this for to Teams for their collaboration, then they got to hop over here for this. Like if you are using multiple systems, that could be a really good like point to utilize a custom agent. And
Yep.
specifically, you can
Yeah.
utilize, custom connectors and whatever where you can go and get Oracle information within Dynamics, so to the user, they no longer need to go over there. And depending on how you set up the custom
Yep.
connector and protect it with security and authentication, maybe you can get rid of their license and
Yep.
for the ERP system. So then you're saving money there as well. They don't need the ERP system anymore. So it's just, I don't know. I think there can be some really cool specific cases. With that being said, Microsoft, they're marketing it, they're selling it,
Yep.
as being the fix for everything, and it's just not. Um, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Microsoft's marketing and the real capabilities, there is a lag there. So always, the marketing is like everything fancy, everything works, but the real capability, don't get me wrong, like I really love this tool. I even built a couple of Copilots, but they are basic. And one use case we had, this like we built like this software, we had like one playbook with 8 pages. Like people had to go and search information. How can I do that? Then we had like diagrams there. We had like job it, everything. And people like, we don't have time all the time to come here and search information. Yeah, we built just one simple chatbot they've been using and they love it. That's perfect. But it's just not enough. So, you need more capabilities, especially for citizen developers to take this to the next level. The reason, because a lot of use cases are not coming from random people. The use cases coming from people who are doing their job. They are the domain experts. So now having that capability that they can build their own system, of course, in a more manageable way and trained way, they can do much better job. So I wish we will see more and more capabilities for citizen developers.
yeah, I yeah, I completely agree. I There's another topic to transition us again that I want to discuss with you. And so, like I kind of mentioned at the very beginning, myself, a lot of the guests I've had on this show, a lot of people that might be listening, or my connections on LinkedIn, we are consultants and work for either consulting firms or Microsoft partners or whatever, where we are coming into an organization and building software. Excuse me. You, however, work for the company that you're effectively consulting, I guess, to keep the metaphor going. I kind of just wanted to ask you, what is that like? What is it like? What is the world of being an IT program manager like? And just kind of your experience in that world, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very rewarding career, I would say. And the name, their IT, the IT project managers. This is a, I would say, more or less different career path than IT program manager because, like in the program, you have multiple related projects, and as a program manager, your job is not main like managing projects. Your job is making sure that you got the mission, you got the vision. Now you are delivering the business value. So the business value, like these are the IT projects, and the IT projects typically we have, for example, application rationalization. You have like hundreds of applications. You typically run different assessments using like risk profile, algorithm, different things to make sure that these applications, whether they should be retired, whether we should invest more, whether we need to better tools. That's where we use Power Platform, for example. So do you have application that someone built like 10 years ago with JavaScript and they are gone? Who's going to, maintain that? And it's not functional or technically fit anyway. So that's why you do this kind of projects. But overall, IT program management, you get the strategy from the leadership. Now you create the operating model. You have multiple project managers that reporting to you, and then you are kind of a decision maker, like how these projects are running, what value we are getting. Again, like in program management, you don't care about the solutions, you care about the business value. In project, you care about the deliverables. But in IT program manager, we don't care about like these like one projects. We are like, what's the end business goal? how much money can we save, how we can improve the user experience, how we can mitigate the IT risks that, for example, application is prone to cyber attacks, etc. So that's one of the key areas that I'm working. On the other hand, I'm also solution lead for tech obsolescence. That means the risk management, identifying these applications, then application portfolio assessment, application rationalization, ERP transformation, along Power Platform implementation.
Sure. So how do you like approach modernizing a billion-dollar enterprise and their systems
Yeah.
at
So
scale? I mean,
yeah,
like what does that look like?
yeah. So let me tell you, you don't just start your day saying that I'm going to modernize my IT architecture. It doesn't happen. So you need to have processes in place. So how you would typically start? You would typically have application portfolio management tool where you would bring entire IT stack into that portfolio. That's, for example, SAP LeanIX. Any application, IT component, IT component basically, it's not actually application, but it's like SaaS, PaaS solutions that we differentiate. We have different categories. You bring everything into one single source of truth that gives the holistic idea and data. And based on that data, you run application portfolio assessment using built-in capabilities like reports. And for that, you need enhanced data to identify what's the functional and technical fit of each application. What's the life cycle of application? When we built this, like 10 years ago, is this vendor out there in the market anymore, or they just bankrupted or something, but we still somehow use their solution? So you need to decide this doing assessment. Once you have this, you start different initiatives. And the initiatives are not just project, like a very large initiatives, for example, application rationalization. So there you have now 13,000 application. You implement frameworks. It's called, for example, Gartner time model. And you categorize these applications based on their technical fit, functional fit. The applications that are not technical and functional fit, you need to eliminate them. But you don't start eliminating them right away. Again, there is a process. The people are still using that. If you remove that, they will be impacted. So you properly need to identify all these people using not only applications, but application data. Then based on that information, you create mitigation plans. Okay, we are removing this. What's the solution that we are bringing instead? That can be Power Platform, for example, right? So then there will be applications that functionally and business oriented works perfect. Then you invest. That means invest means that you buy additional accounts, you buy additional subscriptions, or you further add new capabilities like using CI/CD, etc. And there will be applications that like technically really good, but it doesn't necessarily business fit. You still need to tolerate, because some cybersecurity applications, right? They're kind of cumbersome, but technically really good. So you have to maintain them. And there will be some applications that you need to just mitigate right away. But you don't start with large applications. You typically start with the low-hanging fruits, like 30, 40 applications based on the departments, and then you create the plan to replace them. And that's actually cloud. That leads our another discussion, which is cloud migration. And the cloud migration is basically upgrading your IT landscape by basically shifting or moving your applications from on-prem to cloud, because that's, in a sense, that's one of the main important steps here, because that gives you a holistic idea. What are the costs of my applications? What are the mitigation strategies that I should have, etc. It's a long journey. It's not like small project. Like that can take years. But yeah, it's ongoing effort.
Yeah. Man, I don't even know what question to ask from everything you just said. So that's super cool. We are almost at time. So I mean, with that being said, I'd love to transition us to our after hours happy hour segment of the show. I mean, really just kind of hanging out and get to know each other better and let some of our personalities shine through. In getting to know you, you said one thing you're passionate about is skiing, and so I'll give you the floor here in a second. But so I guess it would have been 2 winters ago. I was living in Colorado, and I grew up in the Midwest. No mountain in sight. Didn't even know like anyway. So I was living out in Colorado and had to pick up snowboarding that for that season. And I think I went, I don't know, maybe 10 times or so. And I like to think I picked it up pretty quick. So I was had a ton of fun. Really enjoyed it, and everything. I want to hear your side of the story, your passion for skiing, and why you
Yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah, I love it. So you probably not from my accent. I'm not native English speaker. I was born in Azerbaijan. I did my master's degree in Italy, then moved to US in 2017. And first time I moved, I had online program in the like in East Coast, but I decided to moving to Utah because they have beautiful mountains and I love outdoor stuff. And I lived in this cool city called Park City, and that's like entirely like ski town.
Yeah,
Like literally, like you can start, you can enter the city and start skiing. There is gondolas, everything, and all the way to the end of the town. So I didn't know really how to ski by that time, but my friends they taught me how to ski and they are very advanced. They even go to like freestyle skiing championship. So it took like 3 4 like classes to learn with them, and it was very scary because my second day they took me to the uh, black diamond, which I'm like, okay, that's my
on a
end of my
second
life.
day, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But it was scary, but the day after, I'm like, I wasn't scared of anything because once you've done that, you are done. You know, you have no fear anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I love this. So I got my epic ski pass every year, and I visit my friends in Utah to ski, and then I'm in the East Coast, Washington D.C. So there is a small bunny ski resort in Pennsylvania. I drive there every Saturday or Sunday to ski, but yeah, I make big ski trip. Whether in January or February, depends on the snow. Yeah, I love
yeah.
skiing, man. Skiing probably is my favorite sport.
There's something about um, like I said, I've never skied or snowboarded in Colorado, but a couple or in Utah, but a couple of the resorts in Colorado, and it's just like one. I think ski snowboard culture is super cool. Like everybody's everyone's best friend, and you don't
Yep.
even know who they are, which I think is super cool. But secondly, like a lot of times for me, I can forget about the fact that I'm like in beautiful landscape wilderness while I'm skiing as well, you know? Like I'm just so focused at like the snow and like what I'm looking at, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Wait, I need to stop and like look up at the environment and the horizon and seeing the mountains." And cuz I mean, in some spots you can be above the clouds almost, it feels like,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, even though it'll be 15, 20 degrees Fahrenheit, it's still feels warm because the elevation and the sun. And
Yeah.
I just reminded myself, I remember one time I went and I don't know, you have like your, I don't remember what it's called, but like the mask or whatever, you have your mask, and I had my
Oh,
mask.
helmets
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, so
and
I had like,
goggles.
yeah, so I had my goggles, and then I had, I don't know, some people call it like a gator or like a baklava, like I had a
Yeah.
mask, and I, instead of keeping it over my nose, I kept it like here underneath my mouth all
Okay.
day. And when I
Oh,
got home, my cheeks right here underneath my goggles, I looked
red.
like the Joker. Like, no joke. Like, this was
Yeah.
beet red just from the sun. But
Yeah.
like, you don't feel it because it's cold and the wind or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
But
because you are moving, you are
yeah,
constant moving. Yeah,
man,
no, skis. Yeah, so I don't do snowboard. So, but I have friends like we go for skiing. They do snowboarding. I do skiing. For somehow they think that snowboarding is cooler than skiing. I think it's opposite, but
that's
but
funny.
yeah, yeah. I love winter sports.
Yeah, I'm in that sport. I'm in that group as well that thinks snowboarding's cooler than skiing. But no, it's all
Okay.
good. It's all good. My wife. So my wife went snowboarding one time. It was our first time together. She absolutely hated it snowboarding. Um, Never did again. Crying on the mountain, just horrible. It took our first run. My buddies, your buddies must have been nicer than us. We went on a green that, and then we took a wrong turn onto a blue. I mean, we had never done anything like this before. My wife had
Yeah,
never like skateboarded or not like nothing
yeah.
even remotely close to snowboarding. It took us 2 hours the first run to get down the mountain because every
Wow.
10 feet you're falling, whatever.
Yeah,
And bless her heart, there's no way she's listening to this, but
yeah, yeah,
she just couldn't pick it up.
yeah.
But anyway, so this last winter we went again and she tried skiing and really loved it. So
No, man, that's the same story. The first time I took my wife for skiing, and she said, I'm not going to skiing because I think snowboarding is much cooler. I said,
okay,
okay.
okay, yeah,
I said, okay, I'm going for blue or black. I'll see you later. And just 5 minutes later, she's like, give me the car keys. I have a mental breakdown. She's like, I'm done. I
yeah,
quit. I'm never coming back here. And
yeah,
she's done with skiing. But the next time I said, let's give it a try for skiing. You
hmm
will and you will like it. And she tried it, and yeah, now we go to skiing together. She
yeah,
has her own bunny hills there doing skiing. But yeah, the same experience like your wife had. She had the same experience. Like she couldn't pick up snowboarding.
yeah. It's just there's something about it. It's a lot more natural. I feel like skiing because you're facing forward, your
Yeah,
feet are independent of each other. Like you can kind of you have your what do you call them, the sticks as well, especially when you're right at the beginning to kind of help you
yeah.
whatever.
Poles.
Snowboarding, you're moving sideways, which is
Yeah,
really different for a lot of people. It's your feet are completely stuck together. You effectively just have like one leg, like your feet are not independent. And so it definitely, and I feel like a fall on skis is much more forgiving than a fall on a snowboard as well.
I
So,
agree because like no, I agree. Sometimes they fall right in front of the lift. I'm like, oh man,
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's not good experience.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, so if you want to pick up a winter sport, try skiing, or if you're cool, try snowboarding. No, it's all good. Rafsan, thank you so much for being here. Truly, I mean, reaching out and connecting people. I say this every time is my favorite part. And if people were listening to this conversation, were impacted, or found what you said insightful, and they wanted to get in contact with you, what would be the best way to reach you?
I would say LinkedIn. I mean, I love LinkedIn. So they can always reach out to me if they want to talk to me.
Sure.
So yeah, but LinkedIn is probably the best way.
Perfect. I will make sure to have a link to that down in the description of
Really
the
appreciate
video
it.
down below. So thank you to you for sticking that in the video. My name is Griffin Lickfeld, the host of the Citizen Developer channel, and I'm excited to connect with you in the next one.